He's signing an executive order to eliminate mail-in ballots and even target voting machines ahead of the 2026 election. Here's why that matters. It's state versus federal power. That Constitution gives states the primary role in running elections. By stepping in like this, Trump is trying to override that balance. Who loses? Millions of voters who rely on mail-in ballots, seniors, military families, people with disabilities, working parents could be silenced. Chaos incoming. Courts have already blocked parts of Trump's earlier order. More lawsuits are coming, which means confusion and uncertainty, just as midterms approach. This isn't about election security. It's about control. Shifting power away from voters and states and into the hands of one single man. Stay alert, because democracy doesn't end with one election. It ends when people stop paying attention.
So Trump says he's going to sign an executive order to ban mail-in ballots and voting machines. And I want to make it very clear. It's not about election integrity. It's about narrowing the electorate in a way that benefits him politically. Mail-in voting is disproportionately used by people who can't easily make it to polling places, seniors, disabled voters, people working long shifts, and members of the military who are deployed overseas. By targeting mail-in ballots, Trump isn't just fighting a method of voting. He's effectively trying to redraw the boundaries of who counts as a legitimate voter in America. Republicans are doing this, as well as gerrymandering red states, all ahead of the midterms. So, I want to ask you something. Are these the actions of a party that won an election with a mandate to fix America?
So Donald Trump is now changing the way voting happens. He is now trying to get an executive order signed to where mail-in ballots are no longer allowed. Can you guess what percentage military service members are? Who do you think? Democrats or Republicans? This is not only going to hurt the Democrat Party, this is going to hurt the Republican Party. Okay? My grandfather cannot get out of the house to go vote. Okay? Your grandparents, your elderly neighbor. Mail-in ballots are so important in this country. So important. So you're telling me my 90-year-old neighbor who served, okay, he is a vet, because he can't drive to go vote, to put his ballot in. His vote is not going to count. Why? Why does Donald Trump think this? Like, what is this going to do? Because this is his last term. He can't serve again. So can somebody please explain us why he is trying to do this?
The Tangerine Tyrant says he plans on banning mail-in ballots and voting machines through executive order. This should be setting off alarm bells everywhere. He is trying to change the way we run elections. He claims that we're the only country that uses mail-in ballots, but if you have any type of cognitive thinking, that's not true. Canada, Germany, Australia, they all use mail-in ballots. It's normal and it's secure. If Trump follows through with this EO, he will disenfranchise millions, especially our service members. You see, while in uniform and serving, service members are required to stay apolitical. So often absentee ballots are the only way they have a say in who's elected and who they're risking their lives to protect. There's actually absolutely no proven evidence of widespread voter fraud with mail-in ballots or voting machines. In fact, the only voting machines under scrutiny right now are those in Rockland County, New York. If you know, you know. Those are currently under investigation because statistically, Trump should not have won, especially with the numbers that he had. What he's doing is not about protecting elections. It's about controlling them. Mail-in voting is a right. Removing it is voter suppression. Don't let lies silence your votes and your voices, guys. Know the facts, share this, and defend democracy and what little freedom we have left.
So this is major and breaking news. It looks like Donald Trump is now targeting mail-in ballots as well as voting machines because he is saying and claiming that there is widespread fraud when using these voting methods. Early this morning, Donald Trump posted on Truth Social, "I'm going to lead a movement to get rid of mail-in ballots, etc., saying they're highly inaccurate, very expensive, and seriously controversial. Voting machines cost 10 times more than accurate and sophisticated watermark paper." All claims made on this Truth Social post are actually false and can be debunked by studies that MIT and the Brennan Center have actually thoroughly investigated and have come away with no major issues in any of these voting methods. There's really only one explanation for why Donald Trump is targeting mail-in ballots. One is because 46% of voters actually prefer this method. 60% of Democrats usually vote within and use mail-in ballots. Analytically speaking, this is most definitely a plan B. Basically, Trump is having J.D. Vance speak with Republican governors and leaders behind closed doors to gerrymander several red states, but this is definitely a plan B behind the scenes in case red states fail to redistrict, similar to how Texas Democrats broke quorum and Texas wasn't able to redistrict successfully. Keep an eye on the news, keep an eye on your democracy. This is important. You can follow for more news updates, but you don't have to.
We have some major news right now. Donald Trump's new executive order that he's set to sign today, eliminating mail-in ballots and voting machines, is now setting off alarm bells across America, and especially within legal circles dealing with voting rights, for several reasons. First, elections are administered on the state level, even federal elections. Each state dictates its own elections, and the President of the United States cannot unilaterally change elections in states. So if states want to use these voting machines that Donald Trump claims are inaccurate, they can use it. If states want to use mail-in ballots that Donald Trump doesn't like, they can use them. And yet Donald Trump, ahead of the 2026 midterms, now wants to completely alter America's electoral process. But not just that, a lot of folks are saying that this executive order could disenfranchise millions, because mail-in balloting helps people vote who can't get to the polls, for example. And mailing in a ballot is much easier for a lot of people than driving to a poll booth and doing paper ballots. This is very significant, so spread the word. I'll do a full breakdown on my Substack linked in bio, so subscribe for free and follow along for more.
Breaking news for you. President Trump, during his press conference with Zelensky, confirmed an executive order that his lawyers are drafting up, potentially end mail-in ballots.
The Republican Party are going to do everything possible that we get rid of mail-in ballots. We're going to start with an executive order that's being written right now by the best lawyers in the country to end mail-in ballots.
As many of you know, mail-in ballots were particularly used in the COVID-19 pandemic, however, have helped people overseas vote, people with disabilities, communities of color, low-income communities who don't have access to cars during election days, for example. And I already can tell that we're going to see more and more rhetoric of voter fraud, despite the fact that it doesn't exist. Just remember that reports have shown voter fraud and the incidence of it happened 0.003% of the time, or 0.25% of the time. Not optimal, actually influencing a local, national, or state election.
Trump is going to issue an executive order banning the use of mail-in ballots and voting machines for the 2026 midterms. Now, this is immediately going to be challenged in the courts by several states because states can run their own elections, but Trump then went on to say that every state is just an agent of the federal government and therefore must listen to what the president says for the good of the country. He referred to the machines as highly controversial and extremely expensive and wants to use watermark paper instead. This would disenfranchise a large amount of voters. Our soldiers who are stationed overseas, elderly people, or people with disabilities who can't wait in long lines to vote in person. This would be detrimental to a large amount of people. And trust me, I would love to be able to really share my thoughts on this, but TikTok would definitely flag my video and give me a strike or take down the video for the For You page. So I had to be very careful and just report it as is.
This is huge news. Patriots are going to want to hear this, but liberals, not so much. President Trump just made a major announcement about election integrity. He says he's preparing to sign an executive order that would push to end mail-in ballots and also phase out controversial voting machines. Instead, he's calling for a return to secure paper ballots with watermarks, a system he says is faster, cheaper, and leaves no doubt at the end of the night about who won and who lost. Trump argues that without fair and honest elections, we don't truly have a country. He believes this move will bring back trust, integrity, and confidence in our elections, starting with the 2026 midterms. Now, of course, this is going to be met with strong opposition, but Trump says he and the Republican Party will fight like hell to restore transparency and fairness to the voting process. This could be one of the biggest steps yet in reshaping how elections are run in America. What do you think? Give me your thoughts in the comments. I, for one, am excited. And this is something I believe we have needed for a while. Everything is working out perfectly. Have a great day.
I'm fed up of the bedbug in charge. So this morning when I wake up and I look on the news articles, I saw that the bedbug is signing an executive order to eliminate mail-in ballots. So ahead of the midterm, you are trying to eliminate mail-in ballots. Mind you, there's people who really need email ballots, the ones who are not able to walk to go to a polling station. Yeah, those, the elderly ones, the ones who just cannot make it. They are too busy. They may be out of the country on election day. Let these people be allowed to mail in their ballots. Like, you're so worried about when the election that just gone with Kamala Harris, the public feel that it was the type of shit the bedbug does. Like, I wouldn't put nothing past him. What are you eliminating mail-in ballots for? And for the people who don't disagree, you're free to comment and tell me why you agree with eliminating mail-in ballots.
Donald Trump just made it clear that him and his MAGA movement just told us how he's going to steal the election. In his social media channel, he wrote this, in which he says, first, the most dangerous part to me is that he states that the independent states are there just to count votes and they must follow what the federal government tells them, which is represented by him, is what he says, and that they do this for the good of the people, and then criticizes the states. Then he says he's going to lead a movement to eliminate mail-in ballots and a movement to eliminate the use of voting machines and move to a paper ballot with watermark. This is the blueprint of what they're planning to do to eliminate completely the access to free elections. Because first of all, according to the Constitution, the President of the United States has no right and no duty to interfere with how elections are run. Number two, the states are independently running their elections. The federal government, through Congress, can pass rules affecting how these elections are run and overseeing the process to be transparent. However, they cannot dictate how this should be done. That is unconstitutional. But we know that MAGA is not going to go read the Constitution and just take Trump's word and then go on the streets and start throwing rocks and take over. And we know MAGA is not going to go read the Constitution. So it's simply going to be accepted by the people that follow. I'm going to leave at the bottom the articles that state what I'm saying if you want to check them out. I'm Alex. This is my rant, and I'm out.
Donald Trump is now bringing our attention to election fraud, especially when it comes to mail-in ballots. He's now going to be signing an executive order for honest elections, which are going to go into place for the midterms of 2026. People have to understand that, yes, on the big stage, we all can see it. But what we do not see is at the local levels, in each individual state. That's where a lot of corruption stems from. So Donald Trump has said, I am going to lead a movement to get rid of mail-in ballots, and while we're at it, highly inaccurate, very expensive and seriously controversial voting machines. And instead, they're going to bring in the sophisticated watermark paper, which is faster and leaves no doubt at the end of the evening as to who won and who lost the election. If we go to the Q post, they showed us in real time 2018, the midterm elections in Arizona, which was the test ground. And this was real time when Q was posting this. Arizona, the Republican governor won by 328,000 votes. However, the Democratic Senate is winning by 32,000 votes. The Republican governor won Maricopa County by 325,000 votes, yet the Democratic Senate winning Maricopa by 32,000 votes. There's a 350,000 vote swing for the Democratic Senate. When I was in Arizona, it was conservatives. So there's always been cheating going on, and that's how they got caught to start with. It's easier to pay off at the local levels so they can get all their policies put into play. Open border, illegal immigration. But it also then ties into other sick stuff. So it says the D party con. Look, when you can't raise money organically through party donations, you steal it from the American taxpayer and give it back to yourself in the form of a campaign contribution. Example 1, Planned Parenthood. $1.5 billion provided in taxpayer funding over a 3-year period. Case 1. Planned Parenthood spent $30 million, disclosed real estimates close to $65 million in taxpayer subsidies to influence the outcome of the 2018 midterm elections. And it says, should it be legal for a taxpayer, Democrat, Republican, or independent funded organizations to donate massive amounts of money to the Democratic Party in an effort to sway the election? Can you see how it's all starting to link? So the midterms is going to be a big one. Donald Trump's now signing the executive order in to make the elections safe and fair, and the focus is on 2026. So all the Democrats, all the deep state now are going to be panicking because there's no way they can win on anything now. It's over for them. So we make it safe and we expose what has already taken place in the past.
What an idea. Get rid of mail-in ballots, get rid of these damn voting machines that are and can be hacked. They've been compromised for years and years and years, and we still use the damn things. I don't get that. What a concept. People showing up in person on voting day to cast the ballot for the candidate that they want. How will the Democrats ever survive without their midnight suitcase ballot dumps at 3 a.m. magical vote dumps? If you ask me, a paper ballot in one-day voting sounds a hell of a lot more like a democracy than this three-ring circus we've been running for my entire life. What do you think? Should America get back to the basics or keep letting the clowns run the circus?
We have major breaking news right now. Donald Trump has announced that he will be signing an executive order getting rid of mail-in ballots and targeting what he calls our highly inaccurate voting machines. Today's executive order that he will sign, that he just announced minutes ago, will be a direct attack on voting rights across the country and may very well be unconstitutional and will be challenged in a court of law. But he's doing two things. First, he said that he's getting rid of mail-in ballots. And the second, he's getting rid of these so-called highly inaccurate voting machines ahead of the 2026 midterm elections to restore honesty and integrity to the midterm elections. That's what he's saying. This comes as his Justice Department has demanded voter rolls and information from even voting machines in states across the country, and really has become a full-out assault on elections in the United States of America ahead of the 2026 midterm. So spread the word, because this is a huge development. Once we get the full executive order, I'll let you know what it says. Subscribe to my Substack at the link in my bio to support my work and follow along for more.
Okay, so help me understand something. Trump has announced that he will be signing an executive order. He wants to get rid of the inaccurate voting machines and mail-in ballots. So if these voting machines are inaccurate, tell me how he won the 2024 election. Tell me how that makes any sense. Because to me, it doesn't make any sense. The same machines that was used to vote him in, now they're inaccurate? Please help me understand, because it's not making any sense to me.
Get up, I got some fucking news. So Donald Trump is coming after voter rights. Yes. He signed an executive order today saying he's getting rid of mail-in ballots. You know how many people use mail-in ballots? Honestly. Overseas. In the November 2024 election, which Donald Trump won, there was 157 million ballots. 30% of those ballots were mail-in ballots. That equates to 47 million voters not being able to use mail-in ballots coming the 2026 midterm elections. That also will cancel out anybody overseas stationed at any military base to cast their vote as well. Oh, but get this, that's not it. He's also going after voter machines, saying that we need to have honesty and integrity during our elections. I want y'all to remember this. A couple of weeks ago, his Justice Department wanted access to states' voter machines. And the state said, nah, we good on that, my boy. We're going to keep our shit to ourselves. That is a state right. But since he couldn't get that, not even from red states, now he's going after everybody. Now, this executive order will be contested in the court of law. There's no way in hell you just gonna X out mail-in ballots. 47 million people in this country won't have the access to vote. We know they're gonna move quickly to get this shit in court and get it cast down. Now, more than likely, red states will be like, we're gonna compromise with him. We're not gonna do mail-in ballots in our state. But that will cut out a lot of the elderly. That will cut out people who can't get off from work. That will cut off people overseas who are serving this country, and so on and so forth. It's only fucking Monday.
So I wake up and check the internet to see if I missed anything. And, Donald Trump has announced that he is going to enact an executive order to remove mail-in ballots and go after certain voting machines. You know, I thought I was going to have more to say. You know, the worst part is about this whole fucking thing. This isn't surprising. This isn't surprising. We know he hates mail-in ballots. And we know that they want to cheat. And he probably feels justified because he's like, the 2020 election. And then fucking he goes on freaking some interview. I can't remember who the guy's name was. He said, Vladimir said that, I totally won the 2020 election. And he says that, if they didn't do what they did to you, there probably wouldn't be any wars at all. Stupid. Can you... Why does he make that argument? Why does he say this thing? If I won, there wouldn't be a war in Ukraine. You won now. Why aren't you stopping the war? 'Cause you fucking can't. You fucking fake fraud. Would have been Steve Bannon or Sean Hannity. That was one of those two from the interview. I think it was Sean Hannity. Mail-in ballots need to stay because there are certain people that just can't make it to the voting box. They can't make it to, they can't make it to the polls, or long lines, or, too long for them. So mail-in ballots are allowed to stay. And then when you just start taking, certain voting machines away because you think, well, I just want to take a look at them. I want to make sure that no one's tampering with them except for us. We may not have Elon anymore, but we'll find somebody who will break it. This is just believable. It's believable. Donald Trump is one of the most un-American people that has ever existed on this fucking planet. You don't like that? Argue with the fucking wall. I got nothing else to add to this. This is just straight up bullshit. This is just fucked up. All kinds of fucked up. Donald Trump is no patriot. Donald Trump is the entire threat to our country and the enemy from within. Who would have thunk it? The President of the United States is the enemy from within. The enemy from within. He called all of us. He really meant it was him. It's every accusation is a fucking confession. Fuck Donald Trump, this motherfucker. And fuck you Republicans for not stopping this evil motherfucker. If you were capable of it, you should be ashamed of yourselves, but you're not capable of having any humility. You're ashamed for yourselves. That's why your bitch asses are so afraid of us, because we're going to vote you out. We're going to do everything we can to get your asses out of the midterms. No matter what type of bullshit tricks you try to play and pull, don't fucking think so, sweetheart. We're going to get your asses out because you are not fit to be in the fucking power that you were granted. You wanted it. You got it, and you did nothing with it. And these are the consequences of your fucking actions. If you actually had any good plans, if you actually had any good policy, you wouldn't have to do this fucking shit to try to cheat the system. But here you go, because you know that you fucked up. You know that you're nothing but a bunch of fucking losers who aren't worthy to win. You know how unpopular that you are. You know exactly the damage and chaos you have caused. And that's why you're afraid to run fair. But guess what? You are approaching a time now where Democrats are pushing fucking back and independents are pushing back. And you can't handle it. You won't be able to handle it. Because no matter what you fucking do, your asses are getting the fuck out of office. And then, we're coming for you, Donald Trump. Your ass is getting out. It's the end that is coming, and you know it. That is why you are fucking trying to cheat it. Doesn't matter what you do. You will not win. Not again. Because as foolish as it is that you are declared the president right now, many people woke the fuck up. You have a lot of people that woke the fuck up. And they feel betrayed by you. We shouldn't have had to fuck around and find out. But you know what? At least people are finding out. At least people found out and woke the fuck up and smartened the fuck up. Because we are getting you out. You caused this to happen. These are the consequences of all of your actions. You're afraid. And you should be. (2026), the blue wave is coming. I want everyone on high alert. I want everyone laser focused. I want everyone to do their part to try and tell everybody what's happened here. What's happened here? How have you benefited from Donald Trump? How? And if they can't give you an answer, then you tell them, then maybe it's time for new leadership, for new power. Let's get out the Republicans who are not holding Donald Trump accountable. You see, look, I understand this. I understand our next counterpoint would be, well, J.D. Vance would be no better. I get it. Trust me, I get it. But you know what it's going to show to J.D. Vance? We're not fucking playing around. If we manage to win and then get Donald Trump the fuck out, J.D. Vance will know you are under a microscope. You want to fuck around? Your ass will be next, too. Look, let's be honest. We can't change what happened. It's not going to be challenged. It's not going to be changed. We're not going to get, freaking Kamala Harris as president. It's not going to be like, oh, well, we found some things and then poof. It's not going to happen. It won't. It's too late. They don't want to. They have no interest into looking into it. I guarantee it. So we're stuck. And we have to just fight back with what we have. And this is what we have. So yes, if we can impeach Donald Trump and then get his motherfucking ass out of the White House, thank God, it's one step closer to changing the world for the better. And then yes, will we have J.D. Vance? Yeah, but you know what? He's not as popular as Donald Trump is. He doesn't have this cult-like swaying. All J.D. Vance is a chameleon. He can change to whatever people need him to be. And he'll know that we're not fucking around. You better obey the law and the Constitution. Otherwise, if you don't, you're next. We're not playing games. Guess I had more to say than I thought. Stay focused. Stay ready. We will push through until the end, and we will win this thing. And we will heal America. We are the ones who will do it together.